Hollywood's legacy of racism continues to persist on both sides. Why is that? Here we go.
Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. It's Slant. Yeah, but isn't this the unplugged version? I don't know. I think it's the unplugged version. All right, Paulie, let's go. That's better. Where'd I go?
Paulie here on the Latino Slant. Hope everyone is doing well. Say hello to everyone in the chat and enjoy this hour. I'm contemplating a little intro because I want you all to know that this is for you, and yet it's not, and yet it is. And Paulie, what are you talking about? You know, I'm just gonna make it real personal for a minute. I got 7 years sobriety, and when I work the program, when I'm most humble is when I listen to what is being said to me, whether it's from God or from my partner or from a friend or from the program, and that's when I get some insight into the lesson that I have to overcome. It's when I'm resistant. And I guess what I'm trying to say, guys, is I just don't want anyone to take it personally. And yet I do want you to take it personally. I don't want you to be offended. And yet I do want you to be offended, if you know what I mean. Because this really is the last thing I want to talk about on a consistent basis is the persistence of Hollywood racism. And I have some wonderful, beautiful people on. You guys are wonderful and beautiful. Slantinos all. We have actress, singer, songwriter, writer, my girl, Timeca Seretti. Hello.
Hey, babe. Hi, guys.
I think you have your YouTube window open and the audio on it, so maybe you can lower the audio. But it's great to have you here. And of course, the great Kamran Pasha.
Hola, hermanos and hermanas. It's wonderful to be here. It's an honor as always. And Timeca, it's so great to be on a channel with you.
Same here, Kamran. I can't wait. Let's chop it up.
Let's talk some real talk now. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you guys, there's already like a lot of I love this. I'll be offended with you, not offended by you. Now, I just say that because, even in talking about this, whether you're, I don't even know how to express it. It's like, people just get offended. People are like, well, you talking about me? Or I don't do that, do I? And I'm just like, what is that noise?
There's something else playing. I don't think it's on my channel. Timeca, is there something, another window of yours open that's playing something else? Because we're hearing a lot of shuffling and talking and not sure where it's coming from.
My roommate is working and he works from home. So, and I have it's not soundproof in here. So I apologize.
So we thought it was a video because often I have my video running.
No, I don't have any other windows open.
Then we'll have some good background noise. Good.
So, Kamran, I'd much rather talk about the fact that Timeca just got cast as a recurring role in Doom Patrol. Right? She's gonna be a villain. You're gonna be doing this, you're gonna be doing that. Congratulations, Timeca.
Thank you.
It's a huge deal.
It is, and the work persists, man.
Yeah. So I just want to say hello to there's a lot of great people in the chat. Let's just say hello real quick and then we'll jump into this. Mexican Iron Man.
Oh, Aram is here. The lovely Aram.
D Bud. Hungry for Hollywood to leave them redheads alone.
My brother, don't worry. I'm working on a project that has some redheads in it, and it'll be fun.
Darius Munchausen is here.
Hola, Darius.
Stephanie Janish.
Good old Stephanie, yes.
Dan the Man. Hail Timeca.
Hey, Dan the Man.
Hey, Dan the Man. We see you. And where is deleted scenes? Miki Rooney. And I believe La Reina Crio is here.
Yeah.
Efren Guzman también. Mira La Reina Crio.
Yeah, and some of this is international. I mean, we got some people. I think Miki Rooney, is he in Spain right now?
Spain. We have a lot of different countries represented. Doom Patrol is massive. Cool.
It is indeed.
I know it is.
Yeah,
we're getting you preemptively because you're going to be every channel is going to be chasing you when that comes out.
That's right. We're gonna sign an exclusive Mexican Iron Man. Deleted scenes or Mexican Iron Man. If you can, please grab the links to Timeca and Kamran. They're in the video description. So let's get into this. This strange thing that happened at the award show. Something funny happened on the way to the forum. Jane Campion's comment about the Williams sisters is an example of white feminism. This is from Teen Vogue. You know, what is just in your just give me your 2 cents, Timeca, as opposed to what is for you, what's your example of white feminism?
I mean, it's just this undercurrent that I don't think the white women know they have, but it's that position of, supremacy. Because if you have to go all the way back to slavery, the position that the Black woman held and the white woman held, we were both under massa's boots. But the white woman, to make herself feel better, she basically let loose this tirade on the Black woman, and that, I think, has persisted. It is carried through the DNA of this lineage of people, and where feminism is a good thing because we're fighting for women's rights, but yet they still seem to put themselves above Black women, where during the suffrage period, some of us were kind of allowed to fight, but we were still let it known that we were here and they're here
in your place,
and in your place. And that's I believe that's what it is to this day.
Weren't there moments of the suffragette movement where Black women were not allowed to speak, at various suffragette events and by white women who said, well, we don't need you on the stage?
Well, unless they became, that person, because I believe Sojourner Truth spoke. And, but she was widely known, and she was this heroine, and she was this fighter against all wrong things. So they had no choice but to hear her voice at that time.
And that parallel continues in Hollywood today with using certain Black women as PR pieces. And we'll get to that. Yeah.
So, and by now I know a lot of people in the audience are familiar with this, but let's just go through this. Director Campion accepted the Critics' Choice Award, Best Director. I'm not a fan of the film. I appreciate the beauty and the actors, but that's a whole nother thing. She randomly undermined the accomplishments of Texas tennis legends, Compton legends, Venus and Serena Williams, in turn at the award ceremony. Now, instead of celebrating another victory for Squad Game or rejoicing in Will Smith's triumph Best Actor win, we're forced to have a conversation about why Black women are belittled, unprovoked, in the name of white feminism. You guys want to say anything?
Well, I mean, she was up there winning her award. There was no reason at all she had to even bring them into what do they have to do with that conversation? Nothing.
Yeah. It weren't in her movie. Someone thought on that dark console we were on last night, one of them thought, well, it's probably just an in-joke between them, and he thought they must have worked on her movie. And that's it's an old friendly thing. It's like, no, they weren't in a movie. They were in a separate movie. They're just there as
Mark C thought that. Right. Mark
and then he's like, oh, wait a minute, that's inappropriate. It's like they had no reason, no reason to call them out. Then he was
none at all.
And I really commend the Dark Council, La Reina Crio, and yourself. I mean, that was a fantastic conversation. You know, it's a fantastic conversation. Abu Nas, Fatal J. So before I go on, let me just say thank you to James Esparza. He became a new member. Muchísimas gracias. Mexican Iron Man is here for $10. He says, always great to see brother Paulie and Cameron. Huge shout out to Miss Seretti. Congratulations on the show. So super proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And persistence and talent pays off. So happy for you. You two guys got something in common, you and Mexican Iron Man. I train both of you guys. Yeah, Mike's doing really well. And then we got Stephanie Janishek, Smuggler's Cantina for $4.99. Campion is an awful, affluent, white, female Uber leftist. Wow.
She's coined that. She loves it. It's actually pretty funny.
I mean, that's something.
I worked with the Awfuls. I know exactly what she's talking about.
Yeah. You know, I guess because, you know, to me, there's just such a huge chasm like between this whole idea of white feminism and then the reality of Black Latina feminism. I don't know if that makes sense. You know, Timeca.
Both Dave Chappelle, called it out, and you know, and then Bill Burr called it out, and actually caused more stir. That's the racism of it. Dave Chappelle calls it out, they just ignore it. Bill Burr, a white man married to a black woman, calls it out, and white women got real upset. They got real upset about that when he said, he was pointed out, you were there sitting there in the passenger seat going along for the ride with Massa, right? And now suddenly you're the one who's being beaten at the end of it. So he said to take your talking to. Sit down with me as a white man and take your talking to, right? And they got so angry when a white man pointed it out.
Well, I want to thank both of you guys for the super chats and for the new membership. This is for you. Theo's gonna scream. Orale. Okay. Directly addressing.
Can I add something to your point you were just making? To me, a little bit of the difference between white feminism and Latino or Black feminism is that when we're fighting for women, Black and Latinos, we're fighting for everybody, every woman. And to me, white feminists, they're fighting for everybody as long as they don't interfere with what they're trying to do at that moment.
Well, I think Stephanie's calling this shut up. White female savior feminism.
Yeah, that's when they're fighting.
No one needs to be saved. You're absolutely right, Steph.
It's the truth.
That's great. That's great. So in the story, basically, you're right. She directly addressed the Williams sisters, pointing them out, saying it was an honor to have them and to be in the room. Only a few beats later, Campion's speech got weird. I'd also like to give my love to my. Oh wait, where is it? Here we go. And Serena and Venus, you're such marvels. However,
but
everything
is all crap.
I'm gonna bring Romy in here. I'm gonna bring Romy in here. And I'm gonna tell her but.
Oh my God! Well, we ain't gonna see you on the screen. Timeca, you were saying, I'm sorry.
Because I was gonna say, do you know what "but" means?
Behold
the underlying truth.
Oh, there's wisdom there.
Whoa!
I'm gonna use that.
So you guys are great, but
wow.
Let's get down to business. Yeah. Okay.
Wow. That's great. That's great. And wow, look at all these fantastic comments in the chat. I really thank you. That 70s rock fan who is a member of the channel for 10 Canadian dollars. Another great stream, Paulie, with a great panel. Many thanks. Can I ask Cameron if you've seen my email to him with a stream suggestion?
Was it an email that forgive me because I have so many DMs and emails, so was an email sent to Patreon? I'm not exactly sure. If you could tell me where you sent it, whether you sent it to Patreon or Instagram, and because so many people DM me things under a different name, and so everyone has different screen names and stuff. I'm like, I may not even remember that you were the one that sent it. So please, if you can clarify in the chat,
or just go ahead and send me a message. I'll make sure Kamran gets it. How about that, Brian? Okay. Let's do that. But $10, 10 Canadian dollars, man. That's I really appreciate it. Let's give you a little Chihuahua love. How about that? Where's Pumpkin at? There she is.
Oh, little pumpkin.
I know. She's still with us. She's always with us. Thank you to all the mods in the chat. Please keep the conversation lively. Keep it going. We have a new member, another new member. Wow, really. Blair de Blair is a new member of the channel. Muchísimas gracias. To all the members and the new members, let's just get this video for them. It's a dancing dog, and I will get back into this, but I did not expect this outpouring, and I really appreciate it.
I'm not sure, but it just shows one-time charges.
All right. So I want to jump down in this article, if you guys don't mind, if that's cool with you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
And no, these were not opportunities, because I would see if you had opportunities that were purchased.
So let me see. Oh God. The type of disrespect is something that unfortunately has become commonplace for Venus and Serena on and off the court. Hence the mostly unbothered reactions. Did you get the reactions?
It has to be someone with access.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we have learned to deal with this when we're disrespected. You're either you're going to smile and bear it, which is kind of like what they did, or you're going to go off and lend yourself to that angry Black woman gnome that we are known for.
But so, this is the left. This is the progressive Hollywood left. They should be the, right, the beacon of understanding, of real unity. Timeca,
I would urge you.
What the fuck is going on?
Come on, Paulie.
I would urge you to go back. I would everyone check. Go back. You can get them on YouTube. Some of Malcolm X's speeches on exactly that topic. He gave several famous speeches in the 1960s about what he called the fox and the wolf. Right? He said the white conservative is the wolf. He makes it clear he's out for you. The white liberal is the fox. He comes to you with a big smile and befriends you, and then he eats you. And it was, this was shocking, and it really upset white liberals. The white liberals didn't like Malcolm X. They were okay with King, but they didn't like him. And when he passed away, when he was murdered, the New York Times, in its obituary that next morning, said he was a man of great genius who used his genius for evil, which is one of the most shocking things. The man just passed away, one of the greatest men of the 20th century, one of the greatest civil rights leaders of all time, who spoke truths, and white liberals hated him because he spoke these truths. And so the New York Times had to go at him on the day he died.
Says, Campion attempted to defame the Williams sisters' accomplishments to initiate herself at a critical time during an award season for which both were nominated. Arun goes on to say, the Williams sisters have had to endure statements like this during their whole life's career. So let's just use as a blanket, right? For whether Latino, Pakistani, whatever that is, other. There's all these instances where we just had to suck it up. Whether it's a mispronunciation of our names, the stereotype of a lazy Mexican, which is completely the opposite. I mean, the Latino community hasn't stopped working during these last 2 years, feeding the entire nation.
They kept LA going.
Well, not LA. I'm talking about the farm workers. But I'm talking about farm workers, right? So why do we suck it up? Because do we create more problems by speaking up? By even if we're polite, it's like, hey, yo, it's not like that. This is. What is your thoughts on that, guys?
For me, it's about picking your battles. And so there are sometimes, well, for me, I'm probably different than a lot of other people because I speak out a lot of times. Probably 90% you're going to hear from Timeca. And if you're doing any of that feminist, racist bullshit, you're going to get it from me. But I think a lot of other people, they feel like they got to pick their battles because they just don't want to upset the, you know, the way things are going, especially if it's somebody on their job. Like, you don't want to get fired. So, you know, I think it's a little bit of that. I don't know. What do you think, Cameron?
I mean, I face this. Like, I've worked a lot in television, and you work, in writers' rooms, and I face this. I face this on a show that I'm going to use without naming it, but people probably can figure it out from a quick search. But I'm not going to name it. A show that I worked on relatively recently, where it was run by a white woman savior, and like all of us, I come in there, I quickly vibe the room. All right, this is a room I gotta sort of be careful in, right? Vibed it on day one, and I was careful, and then I started seeing more and more terrible things. I started seeing the mistreatment of the minorities. And it was a show where the network had put out, we're so proud that we have such a diverse group of writers. And they did. It was very diverse. But the diversity was like this. You had a lot of minorities to disrespect in the room. So you had all these different people, backgrounds, and as the white woman, you now have all your targets. You can treat them all poorly while feeling like the queen. And the breaking point for me was an instance where there was a brilliant young Black woman who was a production assistant on the show, and she ended up getting fired. She was framed for something that I knew had been done by the white showrunner had a clique of her white mean girl girlfriends. Basically, the show was run by her and literally these 20-year-old girls that were friends of her from college who had no experience. I wasn't even allowed. I was a very high level on the show, but I wasn't allowed to go to set on my own episode. The young staff writer who was the showrunner's buddy, she got to go. The young white staff writer had to go in my stead because reminds me who's in charge, and also the showrunner wanted her drinking buddy with her. It was crazy stuff, right? But so that was a situation where the Black woman that had been brought on board as a token Black production assistant was blamed for something one of the white mean girls cliques did that I knew for a fact had been done by one of the other girls. And she got fired. And I immediately helped that young woman get a job at Netflix, and she went on to work with Angelina Jolie. She's had a nice career since then. But then I sat down with the other top person in the room, who was a white male who had pretty much decided, I'm just going to abdicate. She's in charge. I don't. It's like right now it's a hard time for white men, so I don't want to create any drama, right? And so I sat down and I said to him, do you understand the racism in this show, in this room, right? Do you understand what's happening here? And not first I saw discomfort, then I saw anger. He didn't want it to be brought up to him, and he didn't care. I left that show at the end of the season. In fact, all the minorities the network had put out in press releases to Variety and how important it was that this show had such a diverse writing team. At the end of the season, all the minorities, every single one, were either fired or they quit in disgust. And the studio would not let me leave. They wouldn't let me leave. They held me because they had a contract on me, and I kept saying, I want out of here. I want to find something else. I can't come back to this place. And they wouldn't let me leave. And they later told me it was because you were the last brown guy left. You were the last person of color left. If we let you go, it would just be white people in the room. And you were a top level person. We couldn't let you go. And so eventually I was held to the very last minute, so I couldn't get another job, right? But eventually they let me go. And then the next season was mostly white people with a couple more minorities brought in for PR purposes, right? Eventually that showrunner was unmasked and was forced out, which I warned the executives at the studio he's coming. But this was 2 years after all these horrible things happened, and no one stopped it. The system didn't stop it. The machine didn't stop it. It was the most painful experience in a very painful career that I've had, because it wasn't the veiled racism. It was very open. And it was worse because it was masked behind, I'm liberal. I'm what Stephanie calls the awful. I'm a white woman who went to nice prep schools. I sympathize with all you oppressed people. How could I possibly be a racist? Wouldn't even occur to her.
Timeca, anything to say?
And that's my thing. It's like, how can it not occur to them? How do they not know? Like, okay, well, I will say, coming from a place of privilege for them, They don't know, because we are taught when we're little how to navigate this racism, how to double talk at home. We talk jive, we're speaking Ebonics, but then when we get outside, we have to speak the Queen's English, and we got to know, don't say, even though nowadays it's speaking our Ebonics and our lingo is cool. But back then we were taught, don't talk like that when you go outside the house. So we learn from a young age to navigate. And the thing is, and especially with this, what is it? The reasoning in school, y'all know what I'm talking about? This
sort of the new educational initiatives.
Yeah, new educational initiatives. They don't want their little white kids having to learn about racism. They don't want them to have to see it. But that's why they're clueless. Because from a young age, they are not taught that this is the way the world works. They are just taught you are privileged, and they live in that privilege, and that's how they move about the world. So to them, they're like, well, what are you talking about? I like Black people.
They're my best friend. Well, the part of that privilege, the part that makes them feel like they're saviors, is the noblesse oblige, which is their belief. You've got to help these little people. You got to help. These are all poor people. They can't speak. They can't read and write. They'll never have an opportunity unless you do something for them. The moment, like what I saw on the show, the moment it became clear I wasn't just little brown guy there for PR purposes. I was good at my job. In fact, better at my job than the white people. Suddenly the noblesse oblige is gone. It's like, this guy's a threat. This guy's a threat. I'm not going to let this guy take my job. Boom.
And it's either that you're beneath them, or you're a threat. So either way,
it's one or the other.
We lose, And
wow.
Oh, because that came out, I lost my thought.
Go ahead. Hold on. I'm going to read this super chat. Your Muslim uncle comes in for $9.99 in celebration of unity on St. Patrick's Day and the St. Patrick's Brigade that fought along with their fellow Catholics of a different race against tyranny. Salam. And can you do this one?
Yeah, Laylatul Nafs Shaban Mubarak. Tonight is a sacred night in Islam, and it is the night of the 15th of Shaban, which is 2 weeks before Ramadan begins, and it is the night that Muslims believe God decrees every human being's destiny for the next year. And so I've met the Yasin, your Muslim uncle. We've actually had lunch with Mexican Iron Man here in Los Angeles, and he's a true spiritual brother. But yes, he's sending us a blessing for a very sacred night. And Yasin, please pray for me and for all of us tonight.
Yes.
You're a very holy person, and your prayers will help all of us. I believe
we take all those blessings, your Muslim uncle. And yes, if you don't know about that history, it's fascinating. Basically, a brigade of Irishmen from the Civil War or from the Union Army were forced to go down and fight in the Mexican War. They said, screw this. These Mexicans are poor and Catholic, just like us. We're going to fight with the Mexicanos. And they did not, even though they're sanctified now, they had a real, they were considered traitors and they were dealt with. But
sure, they had a goal before they were honored. Yeah.
Yeah, they were people of principle. And that's an incredible story. Tom Berenger did a movie. He played like the lead dude in that. So if you ever want to check that film out. Thank you, you Muslim uncle. That's so cool. And yeah, if we cannot, I cannot. Let me make sure. Timeca, you got your point?
Yes.
Okay, before I forget. Yeah.
Well, because it's part of this little bit that we were talking about, how they think, they got to help us, this little person. When Paulie, you follow me, my Black History posts that I make for the month of, and it's letting people know, little known contributors to American history. Like, we are the innovators, the originators, the
rock and roll
the educators. And yet they feel like we're beneath them. Like America has no culture besides, what other people are bringing it to it. The Mexican culture, the Black culture. So come on, like, y'all don't need to help us. If you shut up and be quiet, maybe we can help you.
Well, there's truth to that. I'm going to say something that might upset some people, but there's a reason that we're not having conversations about Irish Americans or Italian Americans or British Americans or whatever. We're not having that conversation. It's because, to a large degree, over the last several centuries, a lot of the European-based cultures essentially lost a sense of identity. They didn't bring anything culturally unique, or or they lost it over time. Like the Irish still have some of it, and the Italians have some of it, but a lot of it got amalgamated into the general, I'm sort of European descended, right? Versus all these other people and all these other cultures, like the African American culture, like the Latino, like the Native American culture, all these other cultures, because they were singled out and weren't in the power structure, they had to preserve their identity and their culture. And that was the magical thing, is Timeca's point. That's the magic. That's where the entrepreneurialism, the magic, the creativity comes from. It wasn't coming from people that were relaxed because they fit into the majority power structure, to the sense that they lost identity. The idea of a white identity is a construct. It's a construct, right? Because we're all, Italians weren't white ones. Greeks weren't white ones, right? But when they became white, it became easier to let go of the authenticity. I got a lot of Greek American friends that ain't not much Greek to them after a few generations, right? And Greek's a great, interesting culture, great food. And it's like, ain't much going on that's Greek anymore. And that there's a bit of envy that comes then for those of us that, because we weren't in the power structure, had to preserve identity. We got great music, great food as a result, great sense of ourselves. We ain't part of the broad whatever white is. We ain't part of that, right? And so we have to be something.
Yeah. And, we have had to create that culture here in America, because when we first were brought here, all of that was stripped. It's not like Mexican Americans, they somehow, they weren't made into slaves, and the culture beat out of them, their language, their, rituals, their religion. So we've had to create from that. And I think we're doing fabulous. So.
Yeah, this is a great talk. Thank you for everyone in the chat, for being here, for listening, for also putting in your input. It's really important. But we're just speaking from experience. At least I am, right?
Yeah,
I'm just speaking from my experience of, like, either being told, you're not like those Mexicans that I know. You're a credit to your race. Paulie, you're so well spoken. Like, okay. But just because you have broken English, like, my relatives have had in the past, they're well spoken as well. They speak very well in Spanish and speak good English. I mean, so it's just breaking through some of these, these misconceptions and stereotypes. On the nice side, I'll say it's ignorance, because I really try to avoid calling anyone a racist. It's just more of like, you're just, and I'm ignorant. I've been ignorant as well. I really did not understand the African-American culture until I started going to church. Indirectly, they just happened to be all black. I went to GMZ, Timeca knows, and I was like, and then I started breaking bread, and I was like, oh man, I didn't even know I was like, like kind of prejudiced in this regard, or ignorant in that regard. More ignorant. I wasn't prejudiced, just ignorant about certain things. And I was enlightened, and that was it. No one was trying to make it to it.
You were open to it. That's the difference, Paulie. That's where some of the conversations I've been having on YouTube recently is, when presented with information, they're doubling down. They're doubling down and saying, that you're just wrong, Kamran. Like, what? I just shared with you my own experience. Well, you're just wrong. Well, that says to me you ain't listened to nothing, and says to me that you really are the bigot that's beneath the surface here, right? Because you're not. Yesterday on my Patreon, okay, I got a Patreon, and a lot of fans there, and a lot of fans in the YouTube world, and they tend to be a little more socially conservative. It's just the way it is right now. And so there's been a lot of conversation about this Florida bill, and I don't want to get into that Florida bill, but I want to say this, right? That a lot of people have very strong opinions on it, and then one member of the LGBTQ community, who's an important member of my Patreon, posted new information about the history of how that bill evolved, right? And some ugly things that have been quietly taken out because it would have brought a lot of negative attention to it. Okay. And that silenced a lot of people on the Patreon. And I thanked him for saying that. I was like, well, listen to him, just take it in, take in this information and process it. Don't dismiss it, and then come to a conclusion, right? But that was an important moment. And people didn't attack him. People didn't say, you're just whatever, you're trying to ram this thing down our throat. They're like, oh, I didn't know something about this, right? That shows intellectual honesty.
I want to jump on over to this next story, and really we want to get some insight from Timeca as an actor. Again, Timeca is going to has a recurring character that just started on Doom Patrol, and you are in the new Wonder Years. Congratulations, my friend. Woo.
Thank you.
Follow her. Let's bring this up because Zoe Kravitz says she was called too urban to audition for The Dark Knight Rises. Back in 2015, they told me that I couldn't get an audition for a small role of The Dark Knight, right? This is, I guess, 10 years ago now. They were casting because they weren't going urban. Kravitz first told Nylon back in 2015. It was like, what does it have to do with anything? I have to play the role like, yo, what up, Batman? What's going on with you? Timeca?
Okay.
I just hit a bone there.
Yeah.
Rocket.
Because it's either you're too urban or you're not urban enough. They want that, yo, Batman, what's up with you? But we are actors. And I went to school at Indiana University for theater, and I studied Shakespeare. And I believe that most actors do their due diligence and they study the craft. So we study how to do like British accents, Jamaican accents, African accents. So what makes you think if you cast me in a Batman movie that I'm going to come in there all ghetto? Like, an actor's job is to find the heart and soul of that character and bring it out on screen. So what her being and what they were saying were, you're Black. We don't see this character as Black. Essentially, that's what they were saying. It had nothing to do with you're too urban. I mean, for God's sake, she's Lisa Bonet's daughter and Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah.
And her acting stands on its own 2 feet. So for them to tell her that, I'm flabbergasted. And it lets you know that no matter what level of this game of Jumanji you're at, there's always going to be these type of obstacles.
Yeah, I mean, she's essentially Hollywood royalty from her pedigree, right? And she's being treated like that.
And her grandmother, Lenny Kravitz's mother, was Helen on The Jeffersons. Yeah. So yeah, she's her royalty roots go deep. So that's crazy that she even had to go through with that. And anybody who sees her knows that she speaks eloquently.
Well, she's a fantastic actor. I loved her as Catwoman. She was wonderful. I had problems with the storytelling, but that's different. I thought she was just incredible. But this persists. This persists, guys, in the chat. And more MAGA asked me, why didn't you mention what Jane actually said? I looked it up. It was all this BS over a dumb joke. Whether it was a joke or not.
Was it a joke?
Well, I'm just going to entertain that. If it is a joke, it is a joke on the Williams sister's expense of dignity.
It's not self-deprecating. That's what you got to do.
So let me finish. Of dignity in a moment, in a grand moment where you should just be celebrating everybody, right? So, if it's a joke, more MAGA, one, it's a nasty joke, and two, we get joked on every day. And when I say we, people who are acting in the game or writing the game, Cameron's experiences, Timeca, Romy's experience. She's not Mexican enough. She's not dark enough, right? It's just a truth, more MAGA, and everyone else in the chat. It's a truth of how Hollywood really operates and its legacy. It's a dirty legacy, and we're talking about it. That's all we're doing. And we're talking about it from our experiences. No one here is casting judgments. I don't want you to feel offended, my brother. I want you to be part of the conversation, and I thank you. You guys have anything to say?
Well, I don't know what's funny about it. It's a joke. It wasn't funny. I mean, it wasn't funny. What's funny about saying I'm better than you? I've struggled more than you. What's funny about it? There's nothing humorous about it. It's degrading. If she was talking to a white woman, talking to a white man, this is a moment to take your triumph. You won something. This is the moment where you should, if you want to make a joke, make fun of yourself, right? Make fun of yourself. It's like, I've always thought, imagine myself winning the Oscar saying, well, a little brown guy finally did it, right? I mean, you got to make fun of yourself. You don't get up and you say, this is, screw, this is, I did it, you white man who tried to hold me back, right? That's not funny. That's anger. It's not appropriate. I don't see the humor of it. And that's why the audience was like, it wasn't because they were afraid. They're like, they didn't know how to react to it because it's not funny. Where's this coming from?
Right.
And one, all she had to do was not even mention their names. And then two, who is she? She does not know the steps and the things that Venus and Serena had to go through. Just because they're playing women's tennis, the referees, like I just saw a clip. Ava DuVernay did a documentary on the Williams sisters, and Venus was arguing with one of the line judges because one of her beads flew off, and she got penalized because they were saying she was distracting people. And she's like, well, it's not distracting anybody. Nobody even saw it. Y'all are the ones calling it out. And she's like, if the judge feels that way, tell him to come out and talk to me. Yeah. Like, they have had to fight tooth and nail men who run that sport. And Jane knows nothing about that. She should have just shut up. And like you said, Cameron, joked on herself and her experience and not brought somebody else's experience, because it wasn't funny. As a Black woman, it wasn't funny.
So it's unfortunate. That's why it's so important that we're having this conversation. And I've been having this conversation all week on multiple channels because I'm concerned that where we are in a culture, Timeca, you should know something about me, which is that, I'm going to say it outright. I'm politically pretty libertarian, which some people can interpret as right. I'm personally conservative. I'm a religious Muslim, but I don't impose my beliefs on anybody else. Just live life the way I want to live it, right?
Yeah.
And I've been very critical about what I see as a very, very extreme left orientation, or at least public pretend in Hollywood of that, right, in the last decade. And I've been critical of the efforts. I've seen people cast perfectly good actors and then give them degrading roles. But we got the Black woman, we got the Asian person, we got them in there, but they're given bad roles. Right? I've seen that, right? And as a result, people have said, well, you are, and maybe this will evolve to the next point of the conversation. People in the fans have said, look at that. They're using tokens, right? They're making these people tokens. But now I'm seeing great actors being given good roles, and some of the fans are like, it's another token. Really? Why'd you jump to that? Why'd you presume that Black woman was cast because she was Black and not because she's great? You're already now becoming the very thing that these wokosos have been claiming. They're a bunch of racists. Because your automatic reaction now is, I see a Black woman on screen, she's diversity hire. Why'd you jump to that?
What do you say about that, Timeca, being a diversity hire?
Have
you heard that before?
Of course I've heard it. And of course I've seen where, the Cameron, your point made me just think of all of these characters, like when Chloe was going to play the Little Mermaid. Or like some iconic character, just like I'm on the Wonder Years right now. And everybody knows that show from the 80s. It was iconic. And they're doing a version now where the whole family's Black. Oh, you should have seen the comments. Well, why do they have to do that? Why do they have to take a perfectly good show and do that with it? Why can't they name it something else? Why can't they, and it's like, come on, people. We were alive and well in the 60s in this country. We had a life. We had, we existed just like y'all do. And it's perfectly fine to show the other side of the coin, the Black life, because we're not what you all think we are, thugs and criminals and this and that. We have so many people who are contributing, nice, gentle people who are giving to this, our atmosphere and to our culture. So let us do that. And so they want to bring, because of what happened, I think, with George Floyd, and everybody had to stand still and watch that. I don't think white people had really, really seen that before. They had to see it. And then the outcome of that was now, let us try to do something to fix that. And is it a diversity hire? I don't think so. I think it's us getting our just time, our just due, and a chance at what we should have been a part of in the first place.
Yeah, no, thank you for that.
I feel they use. I really feel that white Hollywood use that as an excuse, Timeca.
Well, yeah, they don't care about that. They don't. I mean,
I don't. I
everyone
mean,
was jumping on
I'm
board
putting it in
George.
the chat
They
too.
don't
You
care
know,
about it at
white
all.
feminism. You know, whatever you want to call it. They don't care. They don't care about people of color at the end of the day. Communities of color, whatever you want to call it.
They don't, but this gave us a chance because a lot of people were sitting at home. They created businesses. They created this
Oh
thing
yeah.
outside of the Hollywood
No, that's
machine
different.
that
Absolutely.
let them. So they're right. They are riding along with it, but it's giving because right now Black women are winning. Oh shoot! Sorry.
If it's your agent, take it. It might be a
Right.
gig.
All right.
It's
There
not.
is Moonshaz, and I think has some popcorns. He's got a super sticker
Oh.
for $1.49. Thank you so much. Just some other guy for $4.99. Would you say the Black Pill channels are ironically turning into what Hollywood accuses them of being? The two seem near indistinguishable at times. Oh, buddy, can of worms.
No, but I've said that very openly on, you know, and Timeca, the word black pill is being used in this context is people that, you know, used to be the idea of the matrix, the red pill and the blue pill, whatever. You know, red pill is you see the dark truths of reality, the ugly truths of reality. Blue pill is you're immune to it. The black pill is everything's terrible, in the sense that you see that a lot of conversation right now in YouTube where no matter how good the movie is, I gotta find fault with it, right? It's just all terrible, and you know, so that's. And I've been very critical of this kind of mindset, which I'm seeing increasingly spreading amongst the fandom, where no matter how hard people try to make good stuff, like the Wonder Years, someone's always got to say it's not good enough, right? But I want to address this thing, and maybe to make you talk this. There, you know, bringing back to what we started off with, the white feminism thing, it's what I experienced, which is that the way that the diversity casting thing was used in the last decade that I noticed was what I pointed out, which is that they would make a big deal about hiring people of color, but hiring minorities, but then they would give them badly written, degrading roles that, you know, like what we saw in Star Wars. You have this wonderful character of Finn, who many people thought was going to be the Black Jedi, you know, going to continue on Mace Windu's, heritage, and we're all looking for a stormtrooper who turns against the bad guys. And then he's immediately in the first movie, he's a joke and he's a janitor and whatever. And then by the remaining movies, he's literally the punchline of the movies, to the point that the actor called out and said, "This is disgraceful. This isn't what I signed up for. I signed up thinking I was going to be a heroic member of Star Wars. The Lando Calrissian wasn't a joke. He was sexy. He could steal Princess Leia away, right? He had more charm than Han Solo. So so that kind of garbage, I experienced it on the show I'm talking about, where I brought up, I would say, like, why aren't we would have big deal? We got this Black actress who was a wonderful actress on the show, but she would never get any lines. And I was like, hey, why don't we give that line to her? It feels more right for her. I was like, why are we not giving her anything to do? And then the fans started saying when the show came out, I was like, we love that actress. Why did she do anything in any episode? Because that was where the white woman was in charge, right? She had her I got my Black friend who's on screen all the time, just in the background, not saying anything. Got no arc, no journey. And I kept pointing it out. And it was just like, no, we don't, she's fine. She's doing great. She's doing great because she's serving the purpose of the prop. So that's a real form of that racism. But now the flip of it is coming is that, for example, if people brought in the chat, we've had this new trailer for the Obi-Wan series, which I'm very excited for. And in the trailer, they show that a Black woman is one of the bad guys. We talked about, she's a villain. She's got the red lightsaber. She's working for the Emperor. She's an inquisitor who's hunting down the remaining Jedi that are still alive, right? And we see her a lot in that trailer, and people in the fandom started saying, diversity hire, there we go. They're spending more time with a Black woman than they are on Obi-Wan. I was like, this looks like a kick-ass role. This looks like a compelling role. So why would you do that? I mean, I want to see this.
But is that racism or is that ignorance? What is that? To be fair, right? They're passionate fans, Star Wars fans. Is that racism or is it ignorance? What is that? What do you think that is, Timeca?
I think it's a little bit of both. One, they can't see us in those type of roles. And two, they can't see anything outside of their white world, which should only exist of Black Obi-Wan Kenobis or whoever. I used to watch Star Wars when I was little, but I haven't watched in a long time. So.
You're an actor. You're a working actor. You're in the moment of the characters that you play.
Yeah. So like Black people can be in outer space. That's another thing with like science fiction. They don't see us there. Like we could be in science fiction. We can be everywhere. We are everywhere. We're in every country, like whether it's, you know, Latino, Black, Muslim people, brown people, we're everywhere. We encompass the world. So why can't you see us in those roles? Like, and I think it's a little bit of both.
The Seaman for $5 says, when Hollywood acts like this, it is ignorance. Or is it ignorance or is it intentional racism? Hard to tell sometimes. Great topic, Paulie.
But I know the answer to that is the same thing that I said about with the fandom. Do they respond when it's pointed out, and do they adjust? When I pointed out in the room, I think we need to give this wonderful Black actress more lines and give her an arc that we need to plan out for the show. And the response is, thank you very much for your opinion. That's not coming from a place of authenticity or ignorance. It's coming from a place of, I got her playing exactly what I want. I don't want to give her nothing more. So that I knew I was dealing with a racist. I knew exactly that I was.
But what about her? Like, if I felt like I was on set and they were just using me as a prop, I'd be like, I'm not doing this, you know? And
has that ever happened to you?
It's never happened to me yet.
Okay.
But you know,
all right. Well, then you've had I mean, besides being an actor and all those pitfalls of just, you know, rejection, you haven't been a token hire. Like your roles have been quality.
I feel like they have, yes. And even, I don't know if you know Joe Barajas, but he was the director of the feature I did last year, Dark Red. And it was going to be a short. They turned it into a feature. The main character, which was myself, was a detective, and she was investigating these racist murders in this small town that she lived in. And so he talked to me pre-production through production about being a Black woman. What would I say? What would I do? I've had some very collaborative, like, work environments where they're always like, you know, want to know my opinion as a Black woman. And they, you know, take that very highly. So far, I mean, these last 3 shows have been my top Hollywood stuff, but most of the stuff I've done has been independent.
What are the 3 shows now? Doom Patrol, Wonder Years.
And then I did Women of the Movement, but my scene was cut from there. So
that's right. I remember when you posted, I felt for you. Just some other guys for $4.99, folks at Midnight's Edge chat quickly chalked the female inquisitor up to a diversity hire and proof that KK, Kathleen Kennedy, will be around forever. Other channels aren't much better. I work for Midnight's Edge, so just disclaimer. I'm very proud of working for them, and love my crew there. And you know, the chat is a place of opinions, just like it is here. And all opinions are welcome. Keep it civil and keep it moving. Cameron, thoughts?
Well, I also work with Midnight's Edge. I have great affection for the people there. You know, again, I'm not going to talk about personalities or channels. I'm going to talk about the issue that's underlying here, right? Which is when you jump to seeing this talented Black woman as a major part of a trailer, we all know that Obi-Wan show is going to be about Obi-Wan. Yes, it is, because Ewan McGregor has a massive fan base and he's been the spearhead of this show. It's going to be about him. People are like, they're just going to make it about her and he's going to be this. That's not what it's going to be. This is a teaser trailer to show all the other elements beyond Obi-Wan. We know Obi-Wan's in the show. It's his show, right? And then people then went to the diversity hire and people have made those comments. I was like, you know, my experience having worked with that form of racism that I experienced, they wouldn't allow a Black woman to be a kick-ass villain. That threatens them. Go back to threat to me, or that threatens them. That's why they didn't allow Finn to be a compelling Black hero in the Star Wars.
But he was supposed to be a Jedi. He became a janitor.
He became a janitor.
And J.J. Abrams knows Black people.
Yeah, he became a janitor and he became the joke. Literally, he was a minstrel. It was going back to 1920s kind of minstrel garbage, right?
And Boyega's a talented actor.
He's a talented actor. It was shameful. It was degrading, and he called it out, right? But so they didn't want him. They got uncomfortable with him even having the lightsaber in the poster. So they ended up making him nothing, right? So when people jump to the diversity hire, I'm like, the people who think like that, and I've worked with the people who think like that, don't give a Black woman center stage with a powerful, compelling role. They don't want to do it. She's there in the background to be rescued, right? So I already knew this was a different kind of show. I already knew that. And
you're talking about Obi-Wan.
I'm talking about Obi-Wan. Yeah, people went straight to, I see a Black woman, she got to be a diversity hire. That says something about you, right? And
you got to check out the trailer, Timeca. That's all we got going on. It hasn't started. The show has not started yet.
Okay. I'll check it out because I want to know, like, I don't know this story that y'all talking about. And who is the actress?
know her name,
yeah,
but I'll look up on IMDb, please.
she's beautiful. Moses Ingram.
That doesn't sound familiar,
And
but
she's in something else big.
Moses Ingram, I think. Yeah, Moses. Yeah, yeah.
And
What
that
was the
goes
big
back
credit?
to
Yeah, Moses Ingram. Yeah.
what is her work been? Like they need to go and look at her work and know that she probably fought tooth and nail and worked very hard to get to that point.
Yeah,
So give a sister her props. That's my problem is a lot of people don't know this bit. Like some of my friends early on, they were like, "Oh, you want to be an actor? I could be an actor. That's easy." And then, you know,
oh my God. They're like, you just pretend for a living.
Exactly.
I hear that. You know how hard this is? I've taken acting classes. I'm a writer director. It is really hard. It is so hard to. This is a craft that's harder than writing for me.
I make it very public on my channel here and Midnight's Edge that it's very hard for me not to go down that rabbit hole of defending actors when I hear that they're called adult pretenders or professional liars. Mm-hmm. It really upsets me. And that to me is very ignorant and very lazy. It's just lazy. You have no idea. You have no idea what these people have sacrificed and given up. A lot of the times, public family judgments that they've had to like deal with because their family didn't want them to be actors. I mean, besides all the expenses and all that stuff that you guys have to be just to be
the art
ready.
itself. I mean, there's this infinite thing. How do you survive doing this? And then the art itself is really hard. It's
just
not
some
easy.
Other guy for $4.99. Not good enough. I heard that phrase enough from my father when we played catch. And I think I got another.
Well, I mean, your father's trying to make things better, and he probably has influence over you. Whereas I think a lot of the fans, when they're saying everything is terrible all the time, eventually people just tune out. So I don't think they have any influence at all.
Yeah.
We got fantastic people in the chat. Fantastic people. Thank you so much. Yes, go on.
I want to make one more point to being an actor, because not only do we have to do, the acting, get a grasp of our art, the techniques, but then we have to be business people too, because it's show business. And the show is only 10% of it. The business is 90% of it. And you need to know that, So this is hard work. And anybody who gets up to that level, they're in a Star Wars film, I say, bless you, girl. Do your thing.
Well, we're really excited about your role. Can you give us a little insight to your role in Doom Patrol? Is there any little nuggets? Let's get a little, let's lighten up the mood here for a second.
I don't think I can. I can't, talk about it.
I know you told me in the phone.
Because even to read the full script, I had to go into the production office and sit there and read it. They wouldn't even send it to me and let me take it out. So I can't. I'm not going to jinx it and talk about it.
No. What do we know publicly? Is this is set? Do we know publicly? Is it set in the 60s like the original show, or is it set in the 80s? I thought I read somewhere it might be set in the 80s.
She can't say anything, Cameron.
Sorry, I'm not going to talk to you. What have you read publicly?
Well, I just know.
You guys can. I'll give you guys each other's phone numbers. You guys know.
Well, just it time jumps a lot. So where it's set, I don't know. We're in season 4. And I'm actually catching up now. I'm on season 2, and it goes back to the 60s because you have Rita, who is one of the main characters. She's a Hollywood actress from the 40s, and so, but then she's in current day when she's living with the captain, and so I don't know which time I'm going to be in.
All right.
Well, congratulations.
It's
I've known Timeca for several years now, and it's always great when you see your friends' dreams coming true, coming to fruition, all the hard work. We're happy that you're here spending some time with us talking about some important stuff, Cameron.
Yes.
This is important. This is not just for us. This is just, we want to get this out into the ether of our community. That these are experiences, Cameron.
Yeah, they're real things, and that's the thing is, for people, the fandom has criticized a politicization of storytelling. Well, all storytelling is politicized in the sense that it's people's experiences and emotions and opinions, right? What I'm trying to get us back to is authentic storytelling. and authentic casting and honesty, right? That's all. I'm just trying to get to a place of honesty. So when I see dishonesty in Hollywood, I call it out. When I see dishonesty, in my opinion, in the fandom, I call it out. And because I just want people to behave with integrity. You can disagree with me as long as your opinion is based on integrity. If it's based on something else, I'm going to call it out.
You know what? And if you can come to the table with an open mind to, even if you have your views and you come and you can learn something and have a civil conversation and take, kind of like what Paulie said, and learn something, then that's different, you know. But if you're just, my opinion is my opinion, this is the way it is, then yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I'll admit it to an example that happened to me where, you know, about a year ago on when I used to be on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I used to. There was a lot of conversation about the monument of Mount Rushmore, right? A lot of conversation about, I guess, July 4th was going to be done in Rushmore. Mr. Trump was going to be there. Whatever. There's a lot of conversation about it, right? They were going to shut down Mount Rushmore to prevent Mr. Trump from speaking. Whatever. But there was a lot of conversation about it, and there's a lot of people talking about Mount Rushmore. And I made some ignorant comments about Mount Rushmore. And then a friend of mine who's Native American, you'll know her, OG Star Wars Alora. She told me about the history of what that mountain meant spiritually to her tribe and to the people of the area.
Oh, yeah.
And how carving, you know, these iconic faces into a sacred mountain, what that meant for her tribe, right? Now, as a Muslim, you know, I'm not into idolatries. So you come to Mountain of Hira in Mecca, where the Prophet Muhammad got his first revelation, and carved somebody's face on it, I'd have a reaction to that, right? Okay. And so I was like, you know what? I didn't know what I was talking about here. I didn't know what I was talking about, right? And I said, Laura, thank you. I was just wrong. And now you showed me the history, and I'm like, okay. I listened to it because I want to always be full of integrity. I'm like, I had an opinion based on bad information. You've given me other information. My opinion's changed. Simple as that.
And good for you to have an open mind and to say, you know, oh my God, I learned something today. Because as long as we're living, we're going to keep learning. Some of us.
Well, you know, what I kind of really push with the channel is, you know, yes, it's called the Latino Slant because I want to share, you know, my incredible culture with everybody. But ultimately, it's part of the American tapestry as the contributions of everyone. At this point in time, it's great to know our history, but at this point in time, we're all in it together. My neighbors, right, who I always, you know, those are my barometers of like people, right? You know, African American, Asian, white, German, black. I mean, in like homeowners, whatever, renters, young, old, we love our neighbors. We, you know, we don't talk about any of this stuff, right? We talk about, like, you know, oh, we got to, you know, trim that hedge, or, you know, hey, you know, what's going on with the, you know, with what they're building on the corner, or, you know, what's up with the parking, you know. I love being an American, and it's taken me a while to get to there, you know, and I know what some people, you know, will think, or whether they agree with me or not, but that's not my problem. If you have a problem with that, I'm Chicano, I'm American, and this is my little YouTube channel, and I really appreciate all you guys being here.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're on mute. You're on mute. There you go.
Well, thank you.
Wait a minute. You're on mute again, Timeca.
Let the black woman speak. I'm going to shut up. Let the black woman speak.
Are you tired of hearing me talk already?
No, lovely. No, al contrario. You know, Timeca's got a Latino husband. Al contrario.
You guys steal all the ladies, man. That's why I resent. I got resentment. I got resentment. I get all these incredibly lovely ladies, and you steal everybody else's too. Whatever.
Well, you know, he's got it good. He's Italian and Latino, so he's a really suave. He's suave.
Okay. Hey, he's got a great head of hair, which I really hate about him.
Bald men, they're sexier, more testosterone, whatever.
You know, he always has a damn smile on his face. Like, I wonder why.
He's always happy, always.
He's a happy man.
You know, thank you for having me, Paulie. This is an important subject, and we need to talk more about it, and, you know, make it more out there in the open and known, because we have opinions that not everybody gets to hear, especially those white feminist women, because they're probably too busy flapping their gums.
Well, too busy saving us. They're saving us.
They're saving us. And they're
So
making
thank
the
you.
good. Yeah, no, thank you, my friend. Follow Timeca there on Instagram, please. She's a great lady, got great things going on, and you're a musician, singer songwriter. She's got great music videos. Yeah.
Well, I only have one so far. I have
Oh,
like
well,
trying to come out with an EP, and I need to carve some time to create some visuals for my songs.
Well,
I just haven't had the time.
Get off YouTube, man. Stop slacking. And Mama Slan is here. K-pop corn. Hello, Timeca and Cameron. Paul, you're on a roll. Good job. Amazing,
Hey.
insightful agenda. Hey, when your mom says you're doing a good job, everyone say hello to K-pop.
Hi, Mom.
Is this actually your mother?
Yeah, that's Mom.
God bless.
Yeah, inshallah.
You know, in Islam, one of the Prophet Muhammad said, and he was an orphan who lost his mother when he was 6 years old. So it's very meaningful when he said this. He said, paradise is at the feet of the mothers. That's where you're going to find paradise. So God bless.
I love it.
Love it. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it. Thank you guys so much. Any closing words you guys might have? We'll put you on solo and let people know where you're at, what you got going on, Timeca.
I'm here in Atlanta. I'll be here filming for this new show. And you can also find me on ABC, Hulu, on The Wonder Years. And I got a couple of independent projects that I'm working on and some music. So y'all follow me on Instagram and I'll keep y'all updated.
And thank you, Paul, again for having me on this wonderful channel. I always feel safe and comfortable. I've been to your home and I feel at home on this channel. So if people want to follow me, you can come to my Instagram, which is just my name, Kamran Pasha 72. But the best way to support me is to come join my Patreon. We have 222 members, which is magical in 2022.
Wow.
Let's get it over to that. Let's get it to 300. But it's what's wonderful there is that it's become a living community where people are just talking and sharing opinions. And I'm often sitting back and just watching the conversation, and everyone's point of view is there. Yesterday, for the first time, I had to tell somebody actually be a bit more respectful in how you respond to somebody if you don't agree. I've never had to say that, and they immediately said I apologize. It's a very safe community, broad range of opinions on everything, and there's a lot of information we're breaking. We've got people who work in the studio system. We've got Disney insiders leaking memos and things that I post on there. So please come join me on Patreon. Support me as I'm trying to keep fighting this battle here in this town.
All right. Well, I want to thank my guests for being here. Timeca Seretti for her first time on the Latino Slant. Kamran Pasha, who is now on here weekly, which I have no problem with, which I love. But I want to thank also to the mods in the chat. Thank you guys for being so awesome, and the members of the channel, and you guys who are hanging in. And whether you agree with me totally or not, that's fine too. You guys are here, and we're getting through this thing called life and having a good time talking about stuff. So what do we got going on, man? I'm gonna be putting up some more videos next week. George the Giant Slayer is gonna be my special guest. George, that should be a great conversation. In 2 weeks, we're gonna have a musician from Peru. Her name is Jesaya. So we're always doing fun stuff here. If you haven't, make sure you're subscribed to this fine channel. And if you are a member of the channel, you're going to see your name right now in the closing credits. Be good, everybody. Wherever you're at, keep your slant fuerte.